We're thundering towards the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. This weekend is MotoAmerica Superbikes at Texas. It's round 6 of 7 for Mission King of the Baggers here from Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, as we set the stage for race number 1. Welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, this has all been about Kyle Wyman, and now we're at a place where Kyle Wyman could wrap this championship up right now.
Yeah, like you say, Greg, it's all about the coronation of Kyle Wyman this weekend. He's 3 points from winning this championship, 97-point lead. The thing about Kyle this year, Greg, he's won a ton of races, but on his worst days, he's still found himself up on that podium. He has been able to just accumulate a massive amount of points, and that's where we stand here for race 1 here at COTA.
So with 100 points left in the season to score in Mission King of the Baggers, Kyle only needs 3 points. That means he only needs to finish 13th or better, and he needs to finish 75% of the race and cross start finish line within 5 minutes of the checker flag flying. But for Kyle Wyman, he's been so dominant since this class started. He's got 25 wins to his credit after Troy Herfoss's disqualification from last weekend. But Herfoss, who's only been here a year and a half, still has 8. Bobby Fong's in Superbike, and he has 3. So Kyle, far and away, better than everyone else. But we're here at Circuit of the Americas. Jason, tell us about it.
3.4 miles, Greg. You got a big steep uphill into a very tricky turn 1 that leads you through these awesome S's all the way to turn 11. Hard break in there. On these baggers, Greg, you're probably going to see 170 mile an hour down that back straightaway. To slow these bikes down into turn 12 is very, very tricky. Stadium section all the way through turn 17, 18. Place where you're on the right-hand side of the tire for a long time. Turn 20 is your last passing opportunity before a short run to that checkered flag.
So that's the overhead look. Here's an onboard look with our Insta360. Kyle Wyman's wearing it. Formula 1, MotoGP, and MotoAmerica here. This track is awesome. Race start after this.
The Mission King of the Baggers class ready for their warm-up lap to the grid. We saw it there for Kyle Wyman. Needs to finish this race in 13th position to wrap up the championship. And with 13 riders on the grid, Rog, all he needs to do is finish this race.
That's right. Just get all the laps in he can. But I think, as Kyle said, on the grid, you're just going to see him, you know, waiting. His plan's going to be after get through the first corner clean, and then from there just figure out if he's got the pace to go with Hayden, but just make sure he doesn't take any chances. And he's just a smart rider. He knows he doesn't have the pace that Hayden has, but with track temperature coming up this afternoon, you never know what can happen.
Yeah, and he knows exactly how difficult it can be to get across the line. Last year, very little to choose between himself and Troy Herfoss. Herfoss had one more win, one more podium, and that was the difference between them. This is our pole setter, Hayden Gillum, and Gillum just running on that inside curb through the first couple of corners, and he'll build himself up on this warm-up lap. But for Hayden, you don't want to fall too far behind the pack as well, Rog.
No, we see Hayden do this. It's kind of, every rider kind of has their own thing. Some like to go right away and go quick this first lap. Some riders like to fall to the back, and Hayden's one of those guys that kind of likes to fall back a little bit early on this warm-up lap.
He's already picked up $5,000. Wants to make sure he's able to pick up a slightly bigger bonus check for this race. But for Hayden Gillum from the pole, he's your very clear favourite given the speed advantage he's had at times this weekend.
And also, for Troy, he's one of those guys he's really a smart racer, and he knows when he doesn't have the pace, he starts taking those shots early on. So I expect Troy to, if he gets a good start, try to make some moves on that opening lap.
I always love it with Troy Herfoss, just how relaxed he is down there as well. Not much phases him, and not much phases Greg White, Jason Pridmore, and Jamie Howe taking us through the action for the 7-lap Mission King of the Baggers race.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson, Indian, and custom V-twin motorcycles. And by NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sports books and DFS platforms all season long.
Starting grid for this Mission King of the Baggers, race number 1 here at Circuit of the Americas. After qualifiers, have Hayden Gillum on pole with new track record 2:12.975.
That's so fast, Craig, as you laugh about it, because it is so fast.
Insane.
Herfoss, Wyman, Baz. You're going to see if Camp Peterson is not out there. Bradley Smith will be 6. Rispoli, Landers, O'Hara, Lewis, Corey West, and Kyle Owensword outside of row number 4. Max Flinders will be starting on the back row. So yeah, Cam Peterson, unfortunately, in one of our earlier races, had a bit of an accident, a big accident actually. Yeah, so he's a scratch from this one for now. We're hoping that he's going to be able to get back up and be okay for tomorrow.
All right, so 7 laps scheduled for Mission King of the Baggers. And we've had a preview earlier in the day with the Mission Challenge race, which is a Dash for Cash 3-lapper. 5,000 for the winner, and everybody else doesn't win anything.
Yeah, doesn't. Everybody else, and then everybody else, yes.
And Hayden Gillum won that race and was awfully fast. So the question is, when the riders know in that Dash for Cash that they can't beat him, do they continue on? But now this is for championship points. So here we go when these lights go off. 7 laps ahead of us here in Mission King of the Baggers, and away we go to turn number 1.
Yeah, and you're gonna. Yeah, it's hard. It's so hard to see from this angle, Greg, who got the jump. So we'll have to wait for them to filter down. As you see them now coming down, it's going to be Hayden Gillum. 2 Indians are going to be running 2nd and 3rd. And a little bit further back, I can't tell if it's a factory Harley or if it's Rocco. I think it's going to be Kyle Wyman. Kyle actually got a good start, but we know the championship is in his hands at this point. How much will he be willing to fight for that? That's just going to be another question. 97-point lead, but this is what Gillum can do. He gets out front early, pulling a big gap, and what is it, Greg? Probably almost maybe 0.8 of a second right now as he chugs it up over the top of this hill. Wide open, Greg. 2:12. They're only 5 seconds off Superbikes. 5 seconds off Superbikes around this 3.4-mile track. And right now, Gillum is doing his best to disappear. That's actually going to be Loris Baz in 3rd place on that other factory Indian. So really good to see Loris kind of back up at the sharp end again. He's had some bad luck couple rounds, and so he's in the draft of his teammate at the moment.
Motivation temperature at the top of your screen, showing you what it's like to be out there. 93 degrees with the sun shining, track temp at 122. Baz into 2nd place. So Kyle Wyman there on the 33, still in 4th. But look at Hayden Gillum. 174 miles per hour, the fastest speed we saw in lap 1. That was by Tyler O'Hara back there in 9th place off the back straightaway.
Yeah, but look at this guy right now. This is exactly played out how Hayden Gillum would have envisioned it. Get a good start, get through turn 1 well, put a good run through the S's. Bradley Smith is the factory Harley rider right now that is up behind his teammate Kyle Wyman. Just behind them, it looked like James Rispoli is just behind Bradley, but Gillum right now is already moving out, and you can see Troy, it looked like, man, it looked like Bradley Smith took a shot, or maybe not.
He did.
He took a shot, didn't he?
At his teammate,
took a shot at Kyle Wyman there. So Bradley wants to get up and get a race win. Remember, we saw him tip off, get hurt. We had Travis Wyman on that bike at the last round at Mid-Ohio. So, and who's that? Is that going to be Rocco? Rocco's coming up alongside James Rispoli right now. He's not going to be able to make that pass. So Bradley Smith might feel like he's got some pace, but he's got his teammate just in front of him, and has to be smart there.
Hey, play MotoAmerica for cash. Superbike Baggers and Supersport Series are now live on top sportbooks and DFS platforms. Scan the flow code or visit nxtbets.com/playma to see what's available in your location. Sign up, claim exclusive bonuses, and make your picks now. All right, so after that first lap, when they came to the line, Jay, we saw 1.3 seconds, but Hayden Gillum right now set Sector 1 fastest split of the race, which is what we expect to see. But Baz Herfoss, Kyle Wyman, Bradley Smith, I mean, the train of riders we have right now is massively impressive with Rocco Landers in the mix on the privateer machine. So it's all about the Revzilla Motul Advanced 9 Harley-Davidson right now.
Yeah, but the thing is that Herfoss just isn't quite capable right now of going with his teammate Loris Baz. As you can see, he got into that turn a little bit deep. Troy just couldn't get that Indian slowed down. Now he's going to go side by side down the back straightaway with 33 of Kyle Wyman. He's going to go past him. Let's see if Herfoss turns back to the inside of Kyle and tries to do anything with him. Nope, as Bradley Smith now goes through on the number 1 of Troy Herfoss as well. So Kyle Wyman racing his way to the front here, running in 3rd. Troy turned it back up underneath him, has tried to. Bradley Smith's going to solidify that 4th spot. Then it looks like, did Rocco get through? Yeah, Rocco got through on James Rispoli. Talking to James last night, just ever so slightly, he had said that he's got good 1-lap pace, but he's been struggling with some race pace. So we'll see what's happening there. Jamie.
Well, as we watch Troy Herfoss continue to fall back, we have to think about what it is that he is dealing with aboard that Indian motorcycle. That's in terms of his injuries. He did go back to Australia since the last time we were out at the racetrack here in MotoAmerica. He suffered a crash and that left him with a broken pelvis. And I asked him out on the grid, do you feel it or does adrenaline take over? And he said, oh no, I definitely feel it. He said this bike though is magic. He feels like they should be able to perform better than what he deserves today, but he just needs to get through this racing this weekend.
That's a tough one, Greg, because we know how good Troy is, and it's going to be something like that that will set him back. 2:14.2 though for his teammate Loris Baz, who runs the fastest lap of the race, 2:14.2 to a 2:14.3 from Gillum, 2:14.3 also from Kyle Wyman. The gap is stayed at 1.3. That's exactly the gap that we had after the first time they came through, and Baz has been able to just kind of neutralize that and keep it at that pace. As you see Kyle Wyman now, he's going to be trying to go after Baz. I love seeing this out of a guy that could potentially win this championship today. He's got a 97-point lead. He could literally, Greg, coast around at the back of all these guys, but that's just not who Kyle is. And he's going to do everything he can, it looks like, to chase down those guys in front of him. He's got clear track ahead of him. I really love the pace of Bradley Smith, too, here. Good to see Bradley back there healthy.
So for Hayden Gillum, a bit of a struggle this season. And boy, the last couple races, they've really found some stuff at the Revzilla, Motul, Vance & Hines, Harley-Davidson. As Kyle has a look over his shoulder, the 33 of Wyman, your would-be champion on the Harley-Davidson Dynojet Factory Racing. Jamie, what do you have on Kyle?
I asked Kyle out on the grid, do you put it all on the line or do you hold back a little bit today to go for that title? And he said, we're going to do exactly what we have done all season, and that is take it one lap at a time. He stood on the podium 10 times in the first 10 seasons, 7 of them on the top step of the podium. And he said, lap after lap, that's all I'm going to be thinking about, just not making mistakes and not letting him beat himself.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you can see here, as you look at the championship points stand, I'll tell you right now, Greg, the guy that's on the move right there in 4th. How about the 97? Rocco Landers was back in 8th place, I believe, at one point in this race. He has gone through everybody. He's gone through O'Hara, Rispoli, and now he's actually got through on Herfoss and Bradley Smith to put that other Vance & Hines Harley-Davidson there in 4th place. He's also been strong on his stock 1000 this weekend, or stronger than we've seen him. So Rocco having a good solid weekend right now. He's going to be catching up here in a minute. He's going to do everything he can to bridge that gap to Kyle Wyman, who just ran the fastest lap of the race, only to see Rocco Landers run the fastest lap of the race at a 2:13.9. First rider into the 13s, and that's passing people.
That's incredibly fast. The fastest race lap record that we have is Kyle Wyman last year in race 2 at a 2:14.231. So the fact that Rocco just went 2:13.906, really incredible. Loris Baz was literally just a tick off of that lap record. Then Kyle broke it, and now Rocco at a 13.9.
And
incredible.
And his bike looks great through the S's. Rocco just absolutely smoked it through the first split. And as it comes up on our board, he goes 37.7 to Kyle Wyman's 38.1, 37.5 for his teammate up in the front for Rocco's teammate. So Rocco would love nothing more, Greg, than to give Terry Vance 2 of his bikes on the podium. As you can see here, he's got a great run on Kyle as they go down into the braking zone. He's going to get in behind the factory Harley and try to draft Wyman down this back straightaway the best he can, as he was able to do that to Bradley Smith on the last lap. And he was able to pull out. Now, it looks like Kyle also, Greg, is kind of catching up to the back of Baz as well.
Rocco Landers, who has 2 victories in Mission King of the Baggers in his career, looked like he was going to try to get there on Kyle. I talked to Rocco, Jay, earlier this weekend, and he told me that he had a mystery illness that he's been dealing with since the beginning of the season.
Wow.
He would actually work out on a daily basis, and then he would actually get sick to his stomach.
Man.
And so it's only been since really mid-Ohio that he started to feel himself, and he says he just feels like the old Rocco, and I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing what we're seeing out of the young Rocco Landers this late in the season.
Honestly, Greg, in the years you and I have been doing this, who can you think of as a young talent who's been more popular or more talented than this guy, Rocco Landers?
It's
and
incredible to watch.
You got to think about it too. When you see him right now behind Kyle Wyman, he's got such a sensible head on his shoulders in the sense that he realizes that what Kyle's got at stake today. Rocco's been in that position many times himself. I believe he's won, what, 3 or 4 championships here in MotoAmerica. So Rocco understands, and obviously both riders on Harleys. As he looks down to the left side there, I'm not sure what he maybe felt. But Rocco's going to respect the fact that he's got the guy in front of him that's put quite the year together. As you see smoke pouring off the bottom of Rocco's boot as they get to the top of turn 1, right?
Yeah.
So 2:13.9 that time for Hayden Gillum, so he ups the pace almost a full second quicker than Baz. And Kyle Wyman at a 2:15 flat. So really the guy, again, with pace is going to be Rocco, 2:14.6.
Yeah.
Rispoli also. James, who said maybe he was suffering from some race pace, he just goes 2:14.5 back there in the 6th place.
Yeah, I think what you're alluding to with Rocco, too, is that when push comes to shove, when it's time for Rocco to make a move, he's not going to make a dirty move.
I really believe that to be true. I mean,
agree.
he's got a very, very sensible head on his shoulders, a very, very good race IQ. Rispoli now has crept up to the back of his other fellow Harley-Davidson teammate, Bradley Smith. You see him on the 43, so I think it's pretty encouraging for James, considering he probably wasn't expecting much coming in. He's still got his guys, as Rocco has made that pass, Greg, on Kyle.
And Kyle, of course, would like to be on the podium to celebrate his national championship, as we have 2.5 laps to go in this one for Kyle Wyman, for Hayden Gillum to win this race, and for Kyle Wyman to bring another title home to Harley-Davidson.
Well, and you saw Kyle have a look over his shoulder. He's going to have the comfort of knowing that he's got both of his teammates directly behind him now. As you see, Bradley Smith and James Rispoli are closing up on this battle for 3rd and 4th. I suspect Rocco will put the hammer down here and do his best to get away. For Kyle, what he's got to do, just glue his eyes on the back of that 97 and try to pull away from the stuff that's going on behind him, because those two guys could definitely get themselves into a battle. We have as you see, Loris Baz, what is he, Greg, about 2.1 back. We haven't got to see our leader very much, and it looked like these guys were kind of starting to close in on Baz, but Baz has done a good job of getting back going.
Yeah, so Baz now with a 3-second gap behind Gillum, who just continues to click off these lap times. For Hayden Gillum, he went 2:13.919, just off of his teammate Rocco Lander's lap breaking record lap on lap 3. So for Hayden Gillum, he continues to force the issue, and now out to a 3.4 second lead as we watch the final spot of the podium. Rocco Lander's occupying that spot right now with 2 laps to go in Mission King of the Baggers, race number 1 at Circuit of the Americas. Kyle Wyman just kind of calculating in his head, how important is it for me to be on the podium in winner's circle, because they're going to bring me in there anyway.
He's going to go anyways.
To get an interview, right?
He's going to go anyways, so it's not going to matter. You know, for Kyle, this has just been a great year for him. I mean, look, he's had quite the season on the track, off the track, becomes a new dad, and there's just a lot of good things going on for Kyle Wyman right now. Hayden Gillum right now has experienced all that same stuff, winning championships, 2 kids.
Didn't Kyle's team win a championship this year?
Yes, he did. That's the other thing. Yeah, the
James Rispoli.
James Rispoli. Yeah. So
yeah, it's been a good year for Kyle.
He's had just a really, really good year. So, you know, for him, he's got to bring this thing home for another couple more laps. Hayden Gillum, though, Greg, 3.4 seconds out front now, and pulling away. As you can see in the background, look at Rocco. Looks like he's getting a little bit closer to Loris Baz. It was 1.3 seconds the last time they went across, and to me, that gap looks like it's come down a little bit. We're going to have a look here in a minute, but as they go through the second split, Jamie Rocco's catching up to Loris a bit.
Yeah, Rocco is continuing to close that gap, but for Loris, this is going to be pretty encouraging with another race at this same time tomorrow afternoon. He was feeling pretty defeated after qualifying yesterday. He said when the track got really hot, they just weren't able to get all of the grip that they needed to be able to turn the bike. It just didn't feel very stable. So being able to go out there and stay up front in these conditions, it's going to give him a little bit of a shot in the arm going into another race tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, and that S&S Indian Motorcycle Challenger looking really good for Loris Baz at the moment. But we could see a little bit of rear grip for Baz when he was coming through that tight left-hander. He's starting to steer the rear end of that motorcycle with the throttle, and he's trying to hold off the advances of Rocco Landers. But a nice gap maintaining right now for the 69 of Hayden Gillum on its Revzilla Motul Vance & Hines Harley-Davidson. And what a turnaround we have seen from this team as he takes the white flag. 1 to go. 167 miles per hour, pushing his own air top speed off the back straightaway, equaling Baz's 167. And his teammate, Rocco Landers, trying to get in the draft of the 76, 168.
He's going to be there, isn't he? Rocco's going to be there. Keep in mind, there's only 2 bikes that have got into the 13.9s, and it's both of these Vance and Hines Harleys, 2:13.9 for both Gillum and Landers. Landers that time fastest rider on the track at a 2:14.2 as he continues to chew into this lead that Baz had on him a couple laps ago. Was over 2.5 seconds. So when you look right now, Rocco has definitely closed up, and he's going to be close enough, Greg. If he can get in the draft of that big Indian down that back straightaway, I would suspect to see the 97 try to sneak up underneath Loris Baz. Loris comes across the line that time. I'm sure his team probably had a +0 on his board. It was half second, and it's definitely down from there now.
And Rocco Landers, who made a lifestyle change, moving to Denver, Colorado recently in the last few months, and that has really helped Rocco, he said, with his physical fitness training, because when you're at that elevation and you come back down to lower elevations, feels like Superman.
Yeah, exactly right. Feel good. So Loris Baz has a look over his shoulder, sees that it's going to be the 97 behind him. The question is, I don't think Rocco's going to be quite close enough by the time they get to the braking zone. He wasn't really able to get a slingshot or get any of that. Baz is going to go in tight. And this is where Rocco's the king. He is the king of roll speed and being able to just let off the lever and ride around people. And he's going to cut it back up underneath here. He's going to attempt to cut it back up underneath. Let's see if he makes that work. He tried it, and he might try again here. He's not going to be close enough. So now it's going to be going through turns 16, 17, 18. This long series of rights coming up. If Rocco can roll through these things the way he needs to, it's going to position himself to the inside of turn 19 to try to do something with Loris Baz. This guy don't care up front, though.
Yeah, he's having a good time, is the 69. Hayden Gillum, what a race he's put on. It started with qualifying and putting himself on pole position. Here comes Rocco. No room up the inside. Baz is going to close the door. But here comes the 69. Wheel in the air, and a big win for Hayden Gillum. And to the line comes the second place finish. And it's going to be Baz, Rocco Landers, and Kyle Wyman. Comes across the line in 4th place. Your new #1 plate for 2026. Kyle Wyman takes the national championship. And a slow crawl to pit lane to congratulate his team and all the fans. What a way to do it. And he has 3 races left in the season, and now all bets are off.
Yeah, now we're going to see tomorrow. He's going to try to go for it for sure tomorrow. And but for Kyle Wyman, huge congrats. Perfect year, really, Greg, when you think about it. I can't really remember too many big mess ups. And it was funny because there was a couple races where he'll even tell you he had some problems and fell back and then somehow ended up on the podium 3rd with some mistakes or problems for other riders. But a very well-deserving champ this year. Harley's really worked hard, as has Indian. But this year, last year we had Indian winning the championship. Now it's swung back over to Harley, and Indian's going to work really hard during the offseason.
And this fuels the fire between those manufacturers. And if you haven't been to a MotoAmerica race, you will understand when you show up, when Mission King of the Baggers is there, the tension between the two companies, it is legit.
it is real.
Definitely real.
Yeah,
and then throw in the privateer team like this running Harley-Davidsons of Hayden Gillum and the big victory for Terry Vance and his team. This is an incredible series. It's only been going on a couple years, but it certainly is fun to watch. When we get back, we're going to talk to Hayden Gillum, find out how it was for him out front. But congratulations to our 2025 champ, Kyle Wyman.
Roger, an almost perfect season for our champion, Kyle Wyman. He might have wrapped up the championship today, but his perfect record of podiums in every race is gone. So possibly the only thing that could make up for it is wrapping up that championship. No surprise, see Kyle getting across the line, and he was able to keep himself out of trouble in this one, come away with a 4th place finish. He's been so strong all the way through this season.
And he's still going to get to stand on the podium, though, because they're going to hand him the #1 plate.
Oh, so that's okay. That's okay.
He's still going to stand on there, but just a great year for Kyle.
He gets a podium all to himself for that one, and you can see the 33 making his way around now. And just behind Hayden Gillum, our race winner. Pretty easy race win in the end for Hayden. We were able to see that he had that advantage over his rivals, and ended up being 3 seconds at the end.
Yeah, and for Hayden, he's just been fast, really fast all weekend. And, man, you go all the way back to Laguna, and him and the Vincent Hines Harley team have been on fire. Made a lot of changes this offseason. Took a little while to get things sorted out, but once they've got it dialed in, man, he has been really tough to beat the last couple weekends. It's good to see Hayden and that team with all that hard work they put in. But Kyle Wyman, just a tough, solid year for him. He came out swinging from the very first lap at Daytona. You could tell what this championship means to Kyle.
Yeah, an important win for Hayden as well, because it still gives him a chance of finishing top 3 in the championship as well, and top 2 actually if he's able to maintain this form as well. But Loris Baz with the 20 points in second, just giving himself that little bit of a buffer, but Gillen with the chance of moving up into those top 3 with 3 races remaining, and the momentum's on his side.
Yep, and Rocco Landers, great ride for Rocco, coming from where he qualified, doing the same lap times that Hayden was doing there mid-race. Just a good ride for Rocco.
We'll go back to Greg, JP, and Jamie to get us through the celebrations here at COTA.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson, Indian, and custom V-twin motorcycles. And by NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sports books and DFS platforms all season long.
Back at Circuit of the Americas after Mission King of the Baggers race number 1. As in Winner's Circle, celebrations will begin. As we know, Kyle Wyman is out on this 3.4-mile course, still enjoying his 4th place finish, but more importantly, his national championship. Another number 1 plate for Harley-Davidson and for Kyle Wyman. And a good mix on the podium with a couple of privateer Harley-Davidsons and a factory Indian motorcycle. The parity in this class really shining. Here comes the 69 of Hayden Gillim after a commanding victory. And Kyle Wyman stops a little short before victory lane, and he's definitely welcomed into Victory Circle as the 2025 national champion. And there's the ever famous Stars and Stripes number 1 for Kyle Wyman. Let's go down to Jamie with our number 1 plate.
And as Kyle Wyman takes his helmet off with this early championship clinch, Ken Salant, the racing manager from the AMA, on behalf of the AMA, will present the number 1 plate for the 2025 Mission King of the Baggers Championship to Kyle Wyman. You can hear the congratulations to the champ from all of the fans that are down here celebrating with you, Kyle. Being able to wrap this up early, the season that you've had so far up to this point, how do you even put into words what you're going to be able to take away from this one?
It's hard to. I mean, we've been working hard. This team deserves it. They've worked so hard, and they've earned the position that we were in this weekend. I just can't thank them enough. And you know, sticking behind me with 3 heartbreakers in a row, really, for us to get it done this year in this fashion is just, it's amazing. And we're having a hell of a year, right? Had my firstborn son. My wife Hannah and Stiles are here on site. Couldn't miss it. You know, we got Rispoli wrapping up the Super Hooligan Championship for KWR, and now once again we're Mission King of the Baggers champions, and I don't even know what to say. It's just an incredible year, and thanks to Harley-Davidson, we're bringing this number 1 back to Milwaukee finally, and thanks to the fans. The fans have been amazing this year, all year long. It's a dream to be able to do something this important to so many people. I mean, you grow up as a racer, you want a factory ride, but really you want what you're doing to mean something, and this means a hell of a lot. So.
You worked hard for it. You earned it. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Woo! There it is. And there is our Hannah. So she gets to celebrate with her husband. Well, it's raining all things Kyle Wyman definitely in their camp. Take a look at the results from the race. Race number 1, Hayden Gillim 3.3 seconds to margin of victory. Baz just over Rocco Landers. Kyle Wyman in fourth with that championship. And then Bradley Smith, Rispoli, and Troy Herfoss back in seventh. Let's get right down to Jamie.
For Hayden Gillum, he knew he had the pace after being our pole sitter. He also won the Mission Challenge earlier today. It was being in the mix that you were a little concerned about, and you did not have to deal with that. You led without putting a wheel wrong. What do you take away from the win?
This is all these guys working their butts off every single day at the shop, and even the guys that don't come to the races. Like, these guys are always developing stuff, changing stuff, working on stuff, and yeah, it was good. It was fun. Last year at Mid-Ohio, I did a couple burnouts on the start, and they started making me use launch control, and we finally got it figured out. And then today I was like, I'm gonna go back to the old school. So the start was good. I was able to get to the front and just try to put my head down. Made a couple mistakes. No, this is awesome. Thanks to Revzilla, Motul, Vance and Hines. These guys work their butts off all the time. I'm missing my wife, my kids. I love you guys. Sorry you aren't here. Yeah, just looking forward to tomorrow.
Congratulations. For the second place finish today, Loris Baz will go into racing tomorrow with a little bit of extra. You were concerned about the heat, but you were able to prove the fact that the team did the work. You did the work aboard it. So what do you take to racing tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, we're never really happy to finish second, but I think this weekend it's really good to be in that place. In first race, you know, we missed the FP1 yesterday, so never easy in those small amount of time when you lose all the time. But the team did a good job. We were struggling a lot yesterday with the heat, but we improved the bike a lot this morning. I did a good qualifying, good challenge race. I was pretty happy. We improved the bike again for race one. I really tried really hard to go with Aiden, but I lost a bit of time in the first lap behind Troy, and then he was already gone. Tried really, really hard to catch him, but I had so many moments until the moment I realized I had to back off and try to hold Rocco, so I kind of changed my strategy. But yeah, as you said, big job from the boys. You know, it's been a tough last couple of rounds, especially Mid-Ohio for me, but I'm happy to be back on the podium. They did an amazing job, so big thanks to all the Indian and SNS crew, all the sponsors involved, and congratulations to Aiden. He rode really well, and yeah, we hope we can make his life a little bit harder tomorrow.
You adapted and continued. Congratulations. For Rocco Landers, after a couple of races with some struggles, able to get back up onto the podium. And I know you've been dealing with a lot of things health-wise, but to be able to put yourself back in a position to go out there and perform for this team, make it a double Revzilla podium, how important is this to you at this stage of the season?
It's pretty great. I mean, it's torn feelings because quite frankly, I really should have been able to give my team a 1-2, and that was on me, but it's, Loris ran great. He had to manage that gap perfectly and held on it just as long as he needed to, and respect. But I'm the whole Revzilla, Motul, Vance Hines Motorsports team. Everyone who helps me. Like, this bike's gotten so much better than it was at Daytona throughout the season and everything. My whole crew, my crew chief Steve, my mechanics Matt and Juan, Terry, Josh, Roy, HJC, Revit, Food Sport, Bike 911 Law, everyone.
Congratulations, Rocco.
Championship point standings, you can see with only 75 points left in the season, 90 points for Kyle Wyman over Loris Baz. So the battle between Baz and Herfoss and Tyler O'Hara, that's going to be looked at for the rest of the season. But for Kyle Wyman, he wrapped it all up, and he's the national champ. That'll do it for us, Circuit of the Americas. Guess what? We get to do it one more time tomorrow, race 2 at 4 Eastern time. For Jamie and Jason, I'm Greg. See you then.